Hello, everyone. So now I'm going to talk about case. Um, so let's talk about uh, the semantics of case. So the universal semantics of case that's quite um, uh, amenable to modeling is that if a noun phrase has this meaning A prime, then the case function case function of that has this semantics. Okay, this is equivalent to saying that A being an argument is an argument of V, whatever P is, and the universal restriction of the is that P is the predicate argument structure of a verb. So that you can always tell who is doing what to whom, because P is essentially a lexicalized verb. So let's, where does that come from is an interesting question. And we have to understand that so that we can see how such a unique description of case can be so useful in modeling in the remainder of the course. So and I'll do that by way of an analogy from a phrase structure grammar, because this is the best way to introduce the idea. So I'm going to do like the phrase structure grammar. Here, and I'll keep it simple, like MP, VP, MP, let's just say John or Mary. VP, I'll just say intransitive verb or transitive verb. Therefore, there's a noun phrase that is taken as an argument. So intransitive verb can be something like arrive, which semantics of which you can write as arrive x prime. And the transitive could be something like hit, which takes two arguments, lambda x, lambda y, hit prime xy. Okay. And the reason why I'm writing lambdas here is because this is the only place, since these are lexical items, essentially, these are the only places where you can say this is the predicate argument structure verb. So there's a hitter, there's a hittee, there's an arriver, but if you want to add semantics too, if you think of this as syntax of the grammar, semantics of it is something like the meaning of S will be taking two arguments, let's say lambda MP and then lambda VP, and giving you VP's meaning applied to MP. Okay. And this will be something like John prime or Mary prime. This will be just the meaning of the intransitive verb. And because there's only one thing on the right hand side, this will be like taking two arguments to give you the meaning of VP. So it's going to take lambda VT, lambda MP to give you VT applied to MP. Okay. So if you look at semantics of the rules, there isn't much of content. All the content is essentially in noun phrases, which are arguments, and the verbs which contain the predicate argument structure. So if when you turn this into a categorical grammar, what you get from this is essentially you just conceive SMP VP as a function. If you look it up that way, then it's a function. So VP is a function that takes a noun phrase to give you S. So you can write this VP as a function, take a noun phrase to the left to give you S, or you can write MP as a function, this MP. It takes a VP to the right to give you S. Okay. And from these two, of course, since these are functions, therefore equality means equality. Since VP is equal to that, you can say, well, noun phrase is essentially S over whatever that VP is, right? Now, if you look at, I have not written the semantics of that yet. I'm waiting so that I can emphasize the importance of having a unique capture of semantics for any kind of case. So for this case, if you think of this VP, just think of this structure like VT versus MP. So if you think of this noun phrase as a function, looking this way, it's going to give you a VP if it takes a verb to the left. This is to the left of the noun phrase. Or VT is essentially VP if it takes a noun phrase to the right. So this takes this to the right to give you VP. So these are functions. And because of equivalence again, you can say VT is essentially S under MP over MP. So this is the category of the VT, transitive verb. And the category of VI is same as VP. Okay. So the whole point of this is if you do this methodological conversion, I'm not talking about a theoretical and conceptual differences that we're going to talk about in the remainder of the course, because this Weichmann refers to referential theory of meaning. If you refer to certain senses of hit, you're going to pick up a certain category and not the others. So this is going to this is what we're going to talk about in the remainder of the course. But if you do it this way, the semantics of this will be lambda P, whatever the semantics of MP is. And if you do it for that, for this one, I'm running out of room. Let me just make more room for this. Let's write this one. It will be MP is VP is S under MP, and VT is whatever this VT is. Okay. Now the whole point here is that the semantics of that is also lambda P and P prime. And that's how you get the universal semantics. Okay. So how do we distinguish between the subject of an argument and the subject of a verb and an object of a verb? Well, if you look at uh, the case function of the subject, it's looking for a phrase that's missing one argument. And in this grammar, this will be the subject. If you look uh, for for uh, for the case function of the object, it's looking for a transitive verb because it's actually an object to give you one less argument. Okay, so that will be uh, the predicate argument structure of the subject of the object. Let me show you how that's going to work out. So if you have like it's Mary, so hit is now translated like this, and with the semantics lambda x, lambda y, hit xy. And if you think of this as noun phrase Mary prime, when you case it as an object, okay, let's say uh, the cat, it's Mary, whatever. It's going to be raised like this. And it's going to be lambda p Mary. Okay. So what happens is instead of hits looking for Mary, Mary is now looking for a verb like hit to combine. So if you combine them like this, you're going to get S under MP. And then what you do is you have lambda p Mary, taking this as an argument, lambda x, lambda y, hit prime xy. And if you work out the beta redexes, this will be the p to be substituted. So it'll be lambda x, lambda y, hit xy, Mary prime. And then Mary will be x, so it'll be lambda y, hit Mary y. Okay, so it does substitute for the object. Whereas if you do like John hits Mary, now that you know what that means, that'll be lambda y, hit Mary y, with the category of S under MP. If John is noun phrase John, and if you raise it, then in other words, if you case it, it'll be S over S under MP with the semantics lambda p John. When you do the combination, now John is looking for it's Mary to combine, and it's going to be S because John is the uh, only remnant argument of hitting Mary, and the semantics of it will be just like here. It'll be hit Mary John prime because lambda y is the only thing that you can substitute. And all of this, if you notice, is done with the universal semantics of case. All right. So that will be crucial for modeling because once you the point is, if your grammar's verbs are adequately captured, all case functions can be discerned from them. That's why in modeling, the first understanding the verb is is the first thing. It's not the only thing, obviously, but it's the first thing to get your foot in modeling a sizable grammar of any any language. Okay? So, and that's why in the tools that make use of such categorical grammar, there are automated routines to take a grammar as input. You take grammar, a grammar, particular language, and then you apply the case functions, and you get all case functions in the grammar. And that's great for modeling because you've got all the case functions. It's just that because no language just stays strictly configurational in English, for instance, you can topicalize the object. This book I like, that sort of thing. You can take these case functions and start modeling them to understand first canonical structures in the grammar, and then non-canonical structures and other kinds of material in the grammar. And that's the only way to do that is to understand the case functions. And the first thing to understand the case functions is to get your verbs right in terms of categorization. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that in the remainder of the course, and I'm going to give an example of that in terms of like capturing grammatical relations and agreement and other various structural phenomena. Okay, so see you soon.